It's an exclusive interview with the Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Olanipekun Olukoyede. Good afternoon, Chairman. It's a privilege to interface with you on a day like this. It's a privilege to have you talk about your achievements just under 2 years since you mounted the saddle as our anti-corruption champion. How has the journey been? I know this is something that you are used to because you came from within the system, but how have you found doing this job?
Thank you, Mr. Otitoju. It's nice meeting you one-on-one. I've always been admiring you from afar off, and thank you very much for what you are doing for our country.
Thank you, sir.
And for upholding the integrity of the media profession. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, my journey as the Executive Chairman of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission under 2 years has been quite interesting and as well challenging. Quite interesting in the sense that the President of Nigeria, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, found someone in me who feels he can do this work. And from day one, I kicked the ground running. Just like you just alluded to, I've been in the system as Chief of Staff, I've been in the system as Secretary to the Commission. So it's a game that is not too new to me, even though it's an area that anybody who wants to do the work with utmost sense of commitment will find quite challenging. So it's been interesting and quite challenging. Interesting in the sense that fighting corruption in Nigeria, everybody will agree with me, is not a chess game. And also challenging in the sense that whatever we do, people will always be there to attack. More people we attack than we appreciate what we are doing. But we are used to all that. So we find it, like I said, interesting and challenging as well.
One other issue that I want you to talk about is corruption within the EFCC. Before now, if an EFCC staff was getting married, especially in northern Nigeria, we'll see EFCC staff coming in flashy cars and spraying money openly. In Kano, in Kaduna, these things happened that I won't say that I witnessed, that people sent videos to me. Then you now began to look inwards to try to address the corruption within the EFCC. It's people stealing exhibits, money and all that, and even jewelry. How far have you gone with your task of sanitizing the agency itself?
Thank you very much for that question. One of the major issues I took up upon my assumption of office is the issue of internal cleansing. I didn't hide it. The first 3 months after my assumption of office, I wrote a letter, as it were, an intra-mail to all my staff. That was where the issue of people saying that I said that my staffs are corrupt. That's where the issue came up. I wrote a friendly letter to all my staff, and I made them understand the need for us to have integrity. And between me and you, sir, you can't do this work when your hands are soiled. Yes. When you have integrity, you won't have the confidence to work. Because you can't look at the person that you have collected bribe from or money from in the eyes and say, I want to interrogate you. And you will do the work dispassionately. And so I said, look, it is important for us. This issue of lack of transparency, issue of corruption, we need to nip it in the bud. And we are going to work on it, and I will make sure that people we get will make them scapegoats. So I warned them. That was like a warning, to warn them before I acted. And so we started. The first thing we did was to establish some processes. that will help us expose people like that. We came up with what we call gift and hospitality policy, which was never in existence. Because you can't hold somebody responsible for something that you have not created policy or regulation to checkmate. So if somebody, for example, says, I'm burying my father, and my elder brother comes around from abroad and he gave me 50 million. So what we have done now, in order to strengthen our position, say, look, there is a limit to what you can get from people. Even if it's a legitimate gift, by virtue of the work we do, there is a limit to what you can collect. And even when you collect it, there is a process to follow. There is a register we have opened, put it there, so that when issues come up, we can defend you. So that's what we have done with that. We also carried out, we also told them, look, declare your assets. That was the first thing I did when I got to office. You know, and we carried a check on that.
That's for all categories of staff.
Everybody. Because if you have to do this work, it's like coming to equity. Your hands must be clean. So having done that, we set up our disciplinary panel. Those who have had pending cases that have not been attended to, allegations of corruption and all that, we dealt with all that. And the new cases we discovered, we also brought them on board. And so that was what led to my dismissal of 27 of my staff last year. Nobody forced us to do that. But being an insider, I know that you cannot do this work when your hands are soiled. As I'm talking to you, just a couple of hours before you came in, I've already approved the dismissal of an additional number of people, which I'm not going to disclose now until we release the memo to the relevant department. So it has really worked. I'm not saying may they never come that everybody here will be a saint. I'm not saying that. It is practically impossible. In as much as we are not saying that, we also want to assure you that there's a level of sanity in the system now. People, the awareness is there that when you do wrong, it will be met with sanctions. And so far, we've been able to apply reasonable punishment and sanctions to wrongdoing. And not only people who are corrupt, even people who are overzealous in the course of operations.
Now, talking about your achievements, let's come to what you've done in the last few months. How have your achievements helped to stimulate the economy, to energize the economy, so to say?
Just like I did say, some of the reforms we brought in to our operations, to our legal processes, to our prosecution approach has yielded some reasonable, modest and reasonable result for us in the last 1.5 years. For example, we discovered that, like I did say, prevention is better than cure, like people say. It costs more to recover than to prevent. If somebody has access to process of crime, he can do so much, he can fight you back. So the first thing we do now is to look at the assets. We deprive people from access to the process of crime so that they will not be able to fight back. So we made it part of our operational processes. And that has yielded a lot. Now, for the first time in the history of EFCC, we had the largest single real estate recovery. As a matter of fact, sir, it's a world record. It's a world record. Single largest real estate recovery anywhere in the world. I've gone to hand over the property to Ministry of Housing because it's still at the completion stage for them to complete it and go through transparent and accountable process to dispose to Nigerians who are interested, so that money will come back to government, that money that has been taken to build that estate. That is number one. And in addition to that, monetary term
has not shown up.
Somebody went to court to challenge, but the court threw it out that you can't provide means of legitimate earning that would have acquired this kind of property. You know, when we investigated that matter and recovered the...
Did it go to court before the time ceiling?
No, it didn't. It didn't show up. Meanwhile, we published for 14 days. Nobody showed up. But after the forfeiture that was given, it now went to the court to challenge it. So number one, just like you said, the first question is, where were you for those 2 weeks? Because we know you were in this country, you didn't show interest. Now you came back. Even when you came back, you didn't show proofs that you earn enough money within your period of service to have been able to acquire this kind of property. So the thing was thrown out, and you need to read the judgment. The judge actually did a great job and said, look, it's time for us to be held accountable for what we do. So in addition to that, we also made some reasonable substantial monetary recovery. say to several hundreds of billions of naira, which has also positively impacted the economy. And I tell you two ways. You must have heard that part of the recovery we made last year was appropriated to the NEF fund, the student loan. In fact, it was our money that was used to take off, that to set up that program. Now over 200,000 students had benefited from that program. It's a major plus. And also the credit corporation, where civil servants can also easily go in and obtain credit at probably one single-digit interest rate. It was also 50 billion of part of our recovered asset that was used to set up that project as well. And civil servants can go in now and take credit. Because one of the contributing factors to corruption and financial crimes in Nigeria is the inability of people who have worked for so many years to be able to, at least live a minimum standard lifestyle. If you have worked for 10 years as a civil servant, you can't even afford 2-bedroom flat. Because everything we do in Nigeria is cash-based. And when an economy is driven by cash, everything you do, you pay 100%. There is no way, sir. 1,000 EFCC will not fight corruption. So what we said, if we have credit transactional system, it will help us. If you work for 5 years, you'll be able to have access to credit and buy a 3-bedroom bungalow. And for the next 10 years, you will be paying in such a way that it will not have so much negative impact on your income. You will be comfortable. The propensity to steal will be reduced. So that's part of the impact on the economy that we have channeled our recovery, the assets we recover to. And also, sir, we have also reviewed our processes, particularly in the area of operations. I want to emphasize this. Our work is not all about handing people or making noise. If you are under investigation and your account is blocked, and what we are investigating you for is about 5 million naira, and you have a company, you have employed people and generating income, you are paying your tax. Perhaps what we are investigating is maybe tax evasion or similar offenses. What we now do is, look, we separate the money that is equivalent of what we are investigating in your account. We set it apart. We block that, so that you will be able to run your business. You'll be able to pay your salary, unlike the previous approach of blocking everything. People are laid off and all of that. So we have refined that system and ensuring that to ensuring that, look, businesses can still survive while they are under investigation. For the mere fact that you are being investigated, it's not the end of your business, except that if that business is really set up to defraud the economy or to defraud the system, that's where we can shut you down. So those are areas where we'll be using the instrumentality of this work to stimulate the economy.
Let's talk about bank fraud. Bank fraud is a very, very big problem. And I want to know how the EFCC is helping these banks to stem the tide of bank fraud, especially people hacking into bank system and defrauding the banks.
Another major crisis we might be having on our hands, in the nearest future, if we don't do something drastic, which we are doing now, is the issue of this bank fraud you have talked about. Now, as I'm talking to you, sir, we have about 6 banks, I won't mention it because of their image, that have been hacked into by young people. One, we've been able to save about 9-something billion for the bank.
Major banks.
Yes. The other one, we've been able to save about 6-something billion. That's one we are doing now. We save about 3-something billion. Now, what people do is to get a device. They will plug it. They actually do it in connivance with the insiders.
Yes.
Bank staff. They will plug it into their platform. Wherever the other person is, even if it's outside Nigeria, he will be able to control the platform of the bank.
Wow.
The suspect. So from there, wherever, whether it's in Eastern Europe or America, he can move money. Just the way your bank account officer can move your money in and out of your account. So he can move money in a second. They can move billions. So what they now do is to move that money. They may not be able to move the money out completely, but they now distribute it to an account of so many customers. And so they will have access, back-end access to that account too. From that account, they will move it probably to the wallet or to POS, and from there they will withdraw the money and off they go. And so that is in thing. And so many banks are vulnerable as I'm talking to you now. But that may not have been possible without the connivance of the bank staff. They do it in actual connivance with the bank staff. So it's an area that has actually attracted our attention, and we are doing so much there. But because of the impact of the economy, we are not making so much noise about it, so that people don't get panic and say they want to withdraw their money and all of that. It's not the fault of the bank, but it's the fault of the staff of the bank, some of the staff. And that's why we have told the bank executives, look inwards. There is no way this fraud would have been carried out successfully without the connivance of your staff. In all the cases we have seen, in all the cases, we've always seen the hand of bank staff in it.
How worried are you about the influence of foreigners on in the quantum of advance fee fraud that we experience in our country, the Chinese especially? You know, how bad is the situation?
It's quite worrisome, sir. We are privy to the operations, distinct operations we carried out in Lagos, where about 194 foreigners were involved. 194 in one single operations. Arrested in just one building. The operations took us about 7 hours, each free. 194, about 140 Chinese, about another 40 Filipinos, about some people from Pakistanis, Kyrgyzstan, and it was mind-boggling. It has revealed a lot of things, a lot. We have involved other law enforcement agencies because we saw some aspects that have to do with terrorism and all of that. So we have written to DSS, written to the Nigerian police, informed the Office of the Attorney General. But the aspect of the money laundering and the advance fee fraud aspect of it, we have taken into court. We are in court with all the 194 foreigners. Right now, they are in the detention facilities, and we are in court with them. But it is something that should be of concern to all Nigerians, sir. And I want to say this. Let us open our eyes. Let's be sensitive to some of these foreigners operating around us. A lot of them have come to destroy our economy. Quite a number of them. But there are a lot of them who come who are doing their genuine businesses. But let us just let Nigerians beware. Once they see something that sounds suspicious or looks suspicious, let them come to law enforcement. We know how to handle it, but we should not close our eyes. They are not only operating in Nigeria. This particular case, the CBI case, we discovered that they are operating in Egypt, they are operating in Kenya, they are operating in Cambodia and Myanmar. And you see, interestingly, the Myanmars that are involved in the 194 people that arrested that were made, we are beginning to see nexus between them and the CBS case. We are beginning to see some similar pattern. The way they move their money, the way they operate their cryptocurrencies. But I believe that will take us somewhere. By the time we fully exhaust our investigation, we are going to give a full report to Nigerians so that they will have an idea of what we have discovered and how to avoid such things from happening going forward.
Are they working with some Nigerians? Are they because the other day the Ghanaians discovered that some Nigerians were involved in human trafficking, and that the people trafficked were actually being used for advance fee fraud, which I had never had before. They traffic people to use them as slaves and all that, but Nigerians were trafficked from here to Ghana to do advance fee fraud, and they rented a big apartment for them, put them there. All they do is just see how they can defraud people.
Yeah, the similar thing we discovered in the 184 foreigners that are involved in this case. In fact, we arrested about 792 people. 184 are foreigners, the rest were Nigerians. What they did when they came in was to employ the service of those Nigerians, and they used their identity. So the world should know this issue of advance fee fraud or cybercrime is not a Nigerian thing. Foreigners are here using the identity of Nigerians, vulnerable young Nigerians who are looking for a job. Now, what they do in this instance was to employ them and give them some money, between 150,000 to 200,000. They pay them salary. Quite a number of those Nigerians don't actually know what these guys do. They just ask them to enter some information into some computer and all of that. Quite a number of them were innocent because we interrogated them. So, yes, they employ the service of Nigeria and use their identity. And again, another interesting thing we discovered is that they also do it in connivance with certain Nigerians as well. Because we discovered that in the other case, they use Nigerians to register their company. In fact, you can't see their names among the directors of those companies. Wow. You see Nigerians. They use Nigerians to procure the equipment they use. They use Nigerians as signatories to their accounts. The same thing we discovered in CBEX. They use Nigerians to open their accounts. They use Nigerians as signatories. They use Nigerians to move money from one wallet to another. So they are so smart in their approaches. But I thought where you are going is how did they even gain, how did they come in here to settle? And about 792 people, my brother, will enter into a building. And nobody will raise alarm until we got there, until we discovered them. Because our operation was intelligence-driven as well. We have been monitoring them for like a month, before we busted. 792 people in one building, arrested in one just single operations. It's cause for worry. But we are monitoring the system. Do you know, just 2 days ago, we arrested another 124 people, somewhere along Lekki axis as well.
I also want to ask you about corruption in the civil service. How big is corruption in the civil service? I've heard people say these politicians were actually taught how to steal money and get away with it by civil servants. How big is corruption in the Nigerian civil service?
Well, I was addressing a gathering somewhere outside this country. And I told them some of the figures they would see should be seen within the context of our population, within the context of our size. There is no doubt in the fact that we have corruption within our public service structure. There's no doubt. But I tell you also, the private sector is also as bad as the public sector from the empirical work that we have done. But coming to public service, we discovered that it is extremely difficult for political class to steal money without the connivance from our own point of work. We call them establishment people. They are always there. Political appointees will come and go. These guys are always there. And I give you an example, a typical example. We investigated a particular ministry. The minister there, now we are prosecuting him. We discovered that about 33.something billion was stolen. Only 3.something billion were able to trace to the minister. The remaining 30 by the director of finance, director of procurement, director of this, director of that, the establishment people. And so when you look at the amount of the money stolen by establishment people, it's much more than the political class. And that is the truth. That's the truth.
Don't you think the minister just kept the money with them?
No, if we trace money to people and they use it to buy a house in their name, and we discover the money in the accounts of their children and their cronies, and in the course of making statements, they didn't deny that the money belongs to them. If they had mentioned the name of the minister in the course of making statements, we would have said, okay, they were just accessories, either to or after the fact. But when they end up, the moment you catch them, you do your diligent investigation, documentary evidence, it will be difficult for people to deny.
So minister had just 3 billion.
Just 3 out of 33.something billion. It was only 3 that we traced to the minister. The other, look, statistics have shown, because we carry out survey on the real estate in Abuja, that most houses in Azokoro and Mitama are owned by civil servants. Yes, statistics have shown that. We have evidence to prove that. So we have discovered that it is important for us to beam our searchlights on the establishment people, on the core civils, exactly, the PAMSEX, the civil servants.
One of the big breakthroughs by the EFCC has to do with one university in Kaduna State that has now been turned over to the federal government. how do you sometimes, when you see this level of corruption, does it not demoralize you when to even imagine that this is true?
Yes, like I did say, given our size, given the resources we have.
One individual.
Yeah, given the resources we
and
have.
that quantum of money.
Yeah, it's the system, but we are doing something about it now. The president is really doing something. Because the issue is, the system allows for it before now. It has been so porous. You get my point, sir. The system has been so porous. If the system is not porous, if there are no leakages, it should be difficult for somebody to jack off money that is meant for the implementation of a of a capital project. Now, the university you are talking about, it was not even a minister, it was a director.
Yes.
It was traced to a director.
All of that money, one person.
Yes, the whole university, you need to see the structure. You need to see the... And so we applied the civil forfeiture approach, and we got the property forfeited. And now it has become the property of government. Federal, it has been turned to Federal University of Science, somewhere in Kaduna State. In fact, in that environment, there is no university at all. You know, and they are all happy now. At least they can benefit from the process of crime.
There is this big complaint that you find it difficult to secure the conviction of politically exposed persons. And this has been there even long before you mounted the saddle. Why is it so difficult to secure the conviction of politically exposed persons, given that even the governors that we call the class of 2007, a lot of them, we don't even know at what stage their cases are. We don't know how many of those files you can actually lay your hands on. And we saw when the EFCC paraded them. At that time, we saw when the EFCC began his case against them. But we've not seen the end of most of those cases.
Yes, thank you for that question. It's also bothered my mind upon my assumption of office, and that's why we began to review some of those cases. Now, EFCC is a product of the law. That means that we have to work within the confines of the law. When we finish our investigation, we take the matter to court. From that process, from that point, the process of court process takes over. What is important for us to do, which we are doing now, is to take our time and do diligent investigation. We present it there with our evidence. Now, there are legal technicalities that you cannot control. For example, somebody filing an interlocutory application. It just says, look, the law says, EFCC says, I should continue with this case. Why I rule on your interlocutory application. Now, the substantive case, you continue with the substantive case, but the ruling on interlocutory application is taken to on appeal to Court of Appeal. From Court of Appeal, it goes to Supreme Court. Eventually, you throw it, either agree or throw it out. Say, go and face trial. So there is a case now that the Supreme Court has said, go and face trial, go back to trial court. And that the case has taken 20 years. So that couldn't have been the fault of EFCC. It is a legal process, and everybody has the right to defend himself or herself until you are finally pronounced guilty by the court. So we have to follow the process ourselves. So it's not a thing we can control.
There are cases when your own men, there are cases when your own men do not do diligent prosecution and eventually play into the hands of the accused persons. You even alluded to that sometimes, that some investigators betray their colleagues.
Yeah, I agree with you. There could be some of those cases, few cases where we've not been quite diligent in our prosecution, but probably that would have been in the time past. Now, at the press of a button, I'll be able to look at my cases, or spread across and see what matter is coming up when. If a lawyer fails to appear, that he will have questions to answer. Now, we have over 50,000 cases in court. Over 50,000 cases in court, real time. Now, for us to control and to monitor, to coordinate, is a big deal. But we are doing as much as we can. Now, we also must give it to our lawyers. You know, an average prosecutor in the EFCC takes up a case as many as between 17 and 100. You are jumping from one court to the other. So there's this, you will still give room for some human error, you know, gaps here and there. But in the overall, I think it should be given to EFCC. Not even any law enforcement has come near our conviction rate last year, 4,111. That was a product of proficiency and hard work. Even though there are still areas where we can buckle up, where we can improve, we are going to do that, and we will continue to do that. You also must also know that some of these things are also predicated on availability of resources. You know, somebody has 2 or 3 places to go, and we may not be able to make the resources available on time. So that also tends to not only dampen spirit, and also tend to discourage. But in recent time, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had supported us in that area, and you can see that most of our cases are going on well now. Now, that is also partly attributable to expectation from Nigerians. So I tell you, when we take our time, or when we take matters to court, the issue has always been, you people, you don't do your diligent investigation, you just take the matter to court. And before you know it, judges, the court will throw it out. I've even heard you alluded to that fact before, which is not out of place, which is true. But now we are diligent, we are taking our time. There was a case of a particular ministry we've been investigating for about 12 months now. Everywhere I go, what happened to this minister that was suspended? What happened to this? I said, look, Nigerians, if under 2 months I rush to court, you'll be saying, no, why did you rush? Why did you finish your case before you come to court? Now I have to investigate over 140 accounts. Some abroad. Sometimes you write letter abroad, it takes 2-3 months for them to respond. But you need that as proof of evidence. If I don't put it there, judges will throw it out because they are not expected to generate evidence for me. So let me take time and do my work diligently. When the matter gets to court, you will see it will go smoothly.
It's unfortunate that when the ordinary people on the streets who want to see you put as many corrupt people as possible in jail do not know, they don't understand the daily grind of your work, what you have to do, the letters, how long it takes to get feedback and all that. Because they will recall that the case involving the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs was passed on to you to investigate. And the whole year is gone. Nobody's hearing anything about it. It fuels suspicion that there is a desire to sweep the matter under the carpet. That's not how I feel. But the ordinary people just go, oh, it's their government, this is what they are trying to do. So if it takes so long for you to, is it not even possible for you to say, okay, this is how far we have gone? Or do you think that could compromise the outcome that you wish to have?
Yeah, that particular case, Reverend, that you have mentioned, I've just told you now that
you are still investigating.
Yes, we have about 140 accounts that I need to investigate. There are some requests I sent abroad as I'm talking to you now. They've not responded. I have to do follow-up. And if I don't have that, I won't go to court. I'm not going to yield to pressure to go and rush to court and be stampeded and present the case, and the case will be thrown out as not okay submission. Look, sir, we have had court for the first time in history, that the FBI director came to Nigeria last year to see me. He was here for 2 days to acknowledge what we do, to salute our sense of commitment and sense of scrutiny, of small aspect of investigation, to the extent that they appreciate what they are doing, that they send FBI operatives to work with us. And also tell you, for the first time, the Director General of NCA, the current one, Grime, was here in my office here, all the way from the UK, to see me and to appreciate the work we do and sought for better collaboration with us. So if such top-notch, high-profile agencies can appreciate what we are doing, I think Nigerians should appreciate what we are doing. Look, over there, at the press of a button, you can profile everybody. But here, sir, I have to carry file. I have to go to bank. I have to verify everything physically before you can even get the basic elements of proof, of the evidence that you need to prove. And people want us to finish a case in 3 months. No, I don't have the magic wand to do that, sir. I don't. Given, the peculiarity of our system. So people must, sir, some of our people work 20 hours a day. Sir, we are not the only anti-corruption agency in Nigeria. We are not the only law enforcement. Take our records, showcase it, juxtapose it with others. And I think we deserve some credibility and some, giving some salute for what we do. So we are not trying to drum up our own activity, but at the same time, it's important to mention some of these things. So to do diligent investigation, you need time. Hush Puppy was arrested by FBI. You remember, sir? Yes. It took almost 4 or 5 months for them to present him to court. Even after he was arrested, go check the records. It took months, even after the arrest. So some of these things can be difficult. For example, I just told you about cryptocurrency wallet. For you to get the information, you have to write to the hosts of those wallets. Some of them will respond. Some of them will not respond because they don't owe you that duty. So we have to find a way of... So it's a whole gamut of technicalities here and there.
I can understand how difficult it is. Does President Tinubu in any way get in the way of your work? Does he tell you, leave this person, don't disturb him? Has that ever happened?
So, I didn't expect you to have me that kind of question. Because since you have asked me, I will answer you. I will answer you. Up to this point, I have not seen that my mandate has changed from being apolitical, from seeing things from a neutral perspective. People need to understand the kind of president we have. I've said it before and I'm going to say it. Look, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu doesn't have time. When it comes to the real work, this man knows what everybody's doing. He's not somebody you can go and hoodwink with some... No, he doesn't have time for all that. This is somebody who believes in results. Every time I see him, Ola, what have you done? Ola, how much cases have you filed in court? That's what we discuss. How much recoveries have you done for me to move this economy forward? So such a person wouldn't have the frivolity of saying, go and catch, go and... I smile when people ask me such questions.
Is he more interested in recoveries than conviction?
No, I've just told you now that how many cases have I filed in court? I just said it now. So he's also interested in conviction. What he said is, look, just go ahead and sanitize the system as much as you can. We need the system to be sanitized for us to deliver, good governance for Nigerians. That is what we are busy talking about. And I had people saying that it was because I invited the SY governor of Delta State. That's why he came to
people say that
to APC.
They say
so
that
the 3 senators that come to APC in Kebbi State are the 3 under my investigation in the EFCC.
I was even wondering why you've not succeeded in bringing Fauci to APC.
Quite a number of them.
Yes.
So it's not about that, sir. It's about the fact that, look, sir, I won't get blackmailed or intimidated by saying, because somebody is in the opposition, if he now steals money or commits financial crime, I won't go after him. Let Nigerians hear us clearly. Nigerians, you have given us mandate to work. Let us do this work. Irrespective of whose us is God. If you are in APC, hear us loud. If you steal money, you will have questions to answer. If you are in the opposition, LP, PDP, you steal money, it turns to type some paper in your stomach. It will not digest. You have questions to answer. So let nobody go out and abuse the president tomorrow and say you are in opposition. And so when you commit crime, I will not be able to arrest you and say, now if I arrest you, say, hey, they have come. Oh, I will arrest you. So let the noise be louder. Because nobody has immunity, except for the president and the governors that have been conferred immunity on. If anybody, we don't look at politics. We are not politically inclined in the EFCC. We don't look at politics. Whether you are APC, sir, I want the governor, go and look at the list of high-profile prosecution. Go and look at it. You see prominent, not just prominent APC members. People who have worked to support the president in the course of election. I'm prosecuting them. The president allows me to prosecute them. So you have them, you have the PDP, you have the opposition. So our work is, do you have questions to answer? Do we have reasonable suspicion that you have stolen money or you have committed financial crime? That's what drives our mandate, sir. Not politics.
There is one other question that I will ask you that you were not expecting. If you were interrogating a governor and who stole some money using his finance commissioner and other people, and he said, leave me alone. I spent the money on President Tinubu's campaign. How will you respond?
I'm very sure you must have seen some of our processes in court. That's the beauty of journalism. That's the difference between veteran journalists and those who are just trying to create sensational, journalism and all of that. Thank you for that question. It happened, actually. It happened, yeah. Governor to minister. They told us, yes, this money we gave them for campaign. I said, go on, give me the evidence that you gave them for campaign. He said, no, it was cash we gave them. So you don't know that. There's no way you'll be able to defend that. Number one. Now, did the party ask you to go and steal money for their campaign? No, everybody does that. But you are the one now I'm asking questions, not everybody. So they can't defend it. Number one, the question is, who did they ask you? Give us the evidence that they were the one that said you should go and steal the money so that we see them as an accessory. No evidence. Give us the evidence that you gave them the money for campaign. No evidence. I said, okay, write it down, put it down. They can't write it. They can't put it down. But they go out and be mouthing it. So we don't work by what people say on social media. We work by evidence, proven evidence. I believe in that. And I will not be swayed by what people say out there. We do our work, we get the evidence, we put it to them in court, and the matter is adjudicated upon.
One of the big things that the EFCC has been doing is apprehending Nigerians who go to parties, mutilating our currency, spraying our currency. Some were even in the habit of throwing our currency, bundles of our currency like they are throwing a stone. Lately, people have been complaining that, the EFCC is partial in the way it implements the law. That there are some people that you should have done your best to send them to jail, the way Bobrisky was sent to jail, but you didn't do that. Secondly, some people are pushing for the repeal of that CBN Act. You are a lawyer. How do you think that law is necessary, given our culture of spraying money to show appreciation at parties? Would you support the repeal? Then, how about having your reaction to claims that you are not, you are partial in your approach?
Like Nigerians who agree with me, EFCC, part of the provisions of our law is that we coordinate the enforcement of all financial crimes laws in Nigeria, of all. That's what some people, that's what they've not brought into the equation. Now, the CBN Act prohibits the mutilation of the currency. So let's use the word mutilation. That is how the law
our own currency.
Of our own currency. As a matter of fact, dollar. No, if you look at the Foreign Exchange Practices Act 2, prohibited any currency.
From being
any currency.
From being mutilated.
From being mutilated.
From being sprayed.
From being sprayed. Spraying is part of mutilation. It's there. Specifically written. It's there.
Because some people thought that they had found an escape route by then going to parties to spray the dollar.
Foreign practices act. We show them there. And they agree.
Now, my last question, because I know this won't be my last interview with you. There'll still be occasions when we'll interview you. Martins Otse, who goes by the moniker or the nickname Very Dark Man. What really is the matter that the EFCC has with this boy? Because for many Nigerians, they think the EFCC is being used to silence opposition, to silence those who speak for the Nigerian people. What really, and he too has come out of interrogation saying all kinds of things. What really is the case that you have against him?
Thank you, sir. I don't know why Nigerians are making mountain out of a molehill. Between the time I assumed office and now, we have opened over 5,000 case files. Over 5,000 case files. The high, the mighty, the mediocre, the low, the poor, the rich. So I don't know why the issue of Vincent, I don't know why it has become a national issue. And I give you a background to it. We received petition, about 4, on that young man, written against him. And for like 5 months, we have been carrying out our preliminary investigation without inviting him. Knowing the kind of person he is, he's out there, he has followers and all of that. Even though, like I said, the law is no respecter of anybody. Now, if I can bring in West governors, ministers, people who are serving, people who are in private sector and public sector, I don't know what is special about anybody that we cannot bring in. So based on that, and when we are through with our preliminary investigation and we feel he had questions to answer, we brought him in to answer the questions. And when he got there, we had legitimate court order to detain him because there was no way we would be through with the interrogation, within a day. But there are so many legs to the investigation, so many legs. And we granted him bail. I directed that they should give him bail the following day. He was given bail. And eventually we released him after some days here. Investigation still continues. I don't want to say much about that. And when we are through with our investigation, if he has a case to answer in court, he will be made to answer a case in court. And if he doesn't have a case to answer in court, so be it. But as I'm talking to you now, investigation is still ongoing. There is nothing special about this case. Even though, like you said, he went out and he's talking, even though from both sides of the mouth, he wants to become EFCC friend. He, at the same time, abusing the So, you see, I don't want to get carried away by all those razzmatazz. He's a young Nigerian who is zealous. I don't have anything against him. But the fact remains, if there's an offense, there's an offense. If there are things for us to investigate, we need to investigate and come to a reasonable conclusion. So that's your last question, but I want to use this opportunity, sir, permit me, to address the issue of Yahoo boys that has become a major issue in Nigeria. There are people often accuse EFCC. There are people stealing mega money, and all of you are not seeing them. You are the only people that you can run after. You are ready. It's Yahoo. I want Nigerians to know that we are having crisis on our hands. It's actually a crisis situation. My brother, today, if you travel abroad with your green passport, stand in the queue among so many people, you will discover that by the time you present your green passport, the people will look at you with some reservation. That is if they don't take you aside to carry out special scrutiny on you. That is a national shame that some young Nigerians have caused for us. I go out to interact with my counterparts abroad, to interact with government agencies in the course of tracing money and recovering assets. And there are things that it will be difficult for you to defend. They see these things on social media. Now, having said that, yes, a lot of foreigners come to use the identity of Nigerians. I want to tell Nigerians, this Yahoo thing we are talking about is a crisis. Just 2 days ago, we arrested over 120 Nigerians, young men. People don't believe, these young men don't believe in hard work anymore. Sir, I'm from a state where education is our pride. I'm from a state where the major enterprise we have is education. If you go to the secondary school that I attended now, sir, by 12 noon, the students have left school. You see, in secondary school, you see them in hotels, in groups, trying to scam people. You see secondary school students driving vehicles. Is that, that those the people want to hand over Nigeria to? Is that the nation we want to build? Now, sir, let me tell you the most dangerous aspect of it. It's not just about Yahoo. Nigerians should know this. These guys, some of them are into banditry. We have evidence. We have proofs to do that. Some of them are into kidnapping. Yes, because when they know they don't see people to scam on time, they kidnap. It is there. It is in the news. People know. This is the work we do. People know. Some of them now, they launder money for the politically exposed persons. So don't just see them as Yahoo boys anymore. The traditional way of stealing money is no longer applicable. When they steal government money in billions now, they give it to all these boys. They open crypto wallet, and they put the money there. From there, the money goes abroad. You can buy a house, you can buy vehicles and buy anything with your Bitcoin. So most of these politically exposed persons now identify these boys. They put them in hotel and they open accounts for them. They share this money among them, they change it to dollar, and they move it abroad. So Nigerians should not just look at us looking, no, it's much more than that. As a matter of fact, there was a 22-year-old boy that we arrested. Within 18 months, we saw a turnover of over 5 billion naira in his account. A young boy has never worked in his life, who has no legitimate means of livelihood.
22 years.
Over 5 billion naira within 18 months, a turnover. So we brought him in, and we discovered that he laundered money for politically exposed people. The matter is under investigation. The guy is in detention in one of our facilities. So ordinarily you will see him with, maybe we have dreadlock, you say it's just a Yahoo boy, they should leave them, it's just Yibo that they are scamming, $10. No, sir. It's a major crisis. They use them to steal government money now, mostly. A lot of them commit, a lot of them do ritual killing. Yes. They use our Nigerians, would they say they don't know that? They use all these, our young girls, they do ritual killing. If you get to one of my offices, I won't mention, if you get to my exhibit room now, you'll see a black pot that we have there with human hair. One of them that we arrested, under his bed, we brought out a black pot with human hair. Forensic evidence has proved that it was human hair. And these are the people Nigerians that say, leave them. As a matter of fact, what they are doing is not just Yahoo. They are also involved in mega cybercrime. So a young boy of 22 that we discovered that he had a turnover of over 5 billion. If you see that in the account of a director in ministry or a minister, are you not going to cry? Are you not going to shout that this is too much? But we saw it in his own account. Meanwhile, he laundered it on behalf of a politically exposed person. Those are the things that Nigerian think. It's a crisis. Now, our commitment to this cause, if we had started about 5 years ago and sustained it, perhaps we would have been able to eradicate to a reasonable extent. Not only that, they damaged our economy internally, they damaged our reputation outside the country. But we are resolute. We are very much resolute to nip it in the bud and to bring it to the end. And we are going to do that. So let Nigerians support us. Let them work with us. Let us salvage the life of these our young ones. Let's salvage their lives. Let's help them. Let us inculcate that idea that there is dignity in labor, in their sense, their mind, so that they will know that you want to work for what you earn legitimately, so that they can live a moderate lifestyle and build the nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. I wish you Godspeed.
Thanks so much, sir.
As you continue to work for us diligently.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.